Great morning, great morning, great morning. You guys come on in, come on in. Great morning. While you guys are coming in, I'm going to go ahead and share. Come on in. Great morning. Let me share. Hey, you guys. Great morning, April. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Come on in, you guys. Let me know who's here. Great day, sissy. How are you? Love you, boo. Y'all go ahead and share. Oh, I'm going to talk about it today. I'm going to talk about it. God and I had a whole conversation about this word. So I know that I have to put it out there. So this morning, God and I were having a conversation, and the conversation dealt with time and timing. I was like, God, you know, what is it that you want to say to your people? He said, I need y'all to understand the time. Anytime God says something to me like, I need y'all to understand the time, that means that some things are getting ready to take place, whether we recognize it or not. There are things that are signs of the time. And I knew when he said that, I'm like, oh Lord, what's going on? So he began to talk to me about time and timing and how we're caught up in the wrong time. We're caught up in chronos. We're caught up in chronological time. We're allowing that chronological time to kind of dictate our actions, to guide our directions, to tell us what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, right? And he said, listen, you need to be concerned about my Kairos time. Me being me, like, why, God? Why do we need to be concerned about the Kairos time? He said, you need to be concerned about my Kairos time because my timing will allow things that took years and decades to do to happen overnight. Literally, God is accelerating what's going on. Right, there's an acceleration that's taking place and things are happening quickly. There's a suddenly season that we are in. I'm talking about it. It don't take long. Now, people are not going to understand it because it's going to violate what they know and what they think is how God would do things, right? We have these notions of how God would do things, but our notions of how God would do things has nothing to do with how God does things. So in this season, we've got to be more concerned with his Kairos time than with Chronos. Mm. we have to be more concerned with God's Kairos timing than with Chronos. This week, there are things that are going to happen that are like out of the blue. Like it's going to happen like this. There are going to be changes that happen like this. Changes in you, changes in people around you, changes in situations and circumstances, changes that happen like this. Like overnight, it changed. 1 minute it was this, and the next minute it was something else. You've got to be prepared for the Kairos timing of God, because he's not playing with us. And let me tell you what that looks like. For some of you, it's going to look like there's going to be some disconnections that are going to happen suddenly, quickly. It's going to be like out of the blue, like literally God is shifting things. He's shifting things. He's shifting them like boom, 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 boom. This is what we got to do. We got to strap up and ride the ride. Strap up and ride the ride. I was having a conversation with God. Y'all know I talk to him every now and then. I was having a conversation with him. And he really was fussing at me. I don't like it when God fusses at me. I don't like to be fussed at, period, right? I really don't like it when God fusses at me, but he was fussing at me. He said, you've got to get on the other side of this stuff, because there are things that I'm trying to do through y'all, and I can't do it till y'all get on the other side of y'all stuff. I'm like, I don't want to get on the other side. Okay, y'all, I'm just being honest. I want to be mad. I want to be mad. So listen, what God said was, you ain't got time. You ain't got time to be mad. You ain't got time to hold on to it. You ain't got time for that. You do not have time, because my time is moving. So I got on Facebook this morning. Y'all know I just told y'all the other day that I had gotten on Facebook, and Pastor Tim Rogers, his wife Sharita died. I got on Facebook, listen to me, this morning, and saw where Pastor Sean Atkins, I think that's right, Austin, husband died a few days ago. Listen, God said you don't have time. You don't have time. We don't have time. When I tell you that God is trying to do things in the earth, and I told y'all that people who were foundations of families were going to be dying this year, like foundations. I mean, the people who have been the rocks in the family, that they were going to be transitioning this year, that there was going to be a lot of that happening. It was going to create upheaval in families, and it was going to, how the family turned out was going to depend on how people navigated those transitions. But people, foundations in families, transitioning. Not because God is being mean, not because they've sinned, but because their time is up. And God is doing something, and they've done their part, and God is relieving them of duty. You know, in the military, now I've never been in the military because I wasn't the one to let nobody tell me what to do, okay? But in the military, when someone is standing guard based on what I know and what I've seen, you know, I watch a lot of movies. When someone is standing guard, someone must come to relieve them before they can leave. They got to come and relieve them of duty, okay? Literally, God is relieving people of duty. Like you've done your part. Like you've held it down for the family. You've done what you were supposed to do. Listen, you've done your part. You're relieved of duty. Now, it's going to be hard for those who love these people, because you're not ready for people to go. I mean, like, we want our family to be there. We want them to stay around, right? Well, God is relieving people of duty. Okay? So what does that mean? Y'all, we ain't got time to be worried about stuff that don't matter. To be fussing about stuff that's inconsequential. In other words, it don't have no meaning. It's not the stuff that matters. Listen, we will miss what God is doing caught up in stuff that does not matter. Angel number 111. What are you focusing on? Because whatever you focus on is what you're going to manifest in your life. Whatever you're focused on is what you're going to see. Whatever you're focused on is what you're going to draw. Whatever you're focused on. So if you be focused on anything negative, you're going to draw negative into your life. So decide what you want and what you don't want in your life. Whatever you want in your life, focus on that. What do you want? I want love. I want peace. I want joy. I want happiness. I don't want mess, drama, unnecessary. I don't want that. So I'm not trying to focus on that. But if we focus on it, we'll get it. And we can't be double-minded. You can't be like, well, I want this, but then you're going to be bouncing back and forth. Okay, bounce back and forth. You're going to get back and forth. That's what you're going to get. I've never understood why we as human beings can have amazing things happening in our lives and we will focus on the bull. Why do we do that? Why do we do that? You know why? Our saboteurs. Our saboteurs will come in and try to create havoc and wreak havoc in our lives. And the interesting thing is, when we deal with people, you got two sets of saboteurs at work. Theirs and yours. Both of y'all saboteurs are going. And now, here you go. Darn, this shirt is big. Now, here you go. Your saboteurs are triggering their saboteurs, which are triggering your saboteurs, which take. So now y'all in a whole downward conflict spiral. It's bull crap, y'all. And it doesn't have to be, but we have to choose something different. We have to literally choose them. Listen, God's Kairos timing is so incredible. Y'all better understand what God is doing in his timing and stop focusing on the chronological time. Angel number 111. You see how it keeps coming up? Why? Because it is the number that says that you have the ability to create your reality. You have the ability to create what you want in your life. If you focus on what you don't have, you're going to have less. I know that sounds crazy, but it's the truth. Period. If you focus on what you don't want, that's what's coming. If you focus on the money you don't have, you're going to have less. Because something's going to happen where you're going to have to use it. Listen, focus on what you want to see in your life and watch what happens. That is why the scripture says, think on these things. Whatsoever things are right and just and pure and of good report. Focus on that. Stop focusing on the other stuff. You're creating unnecessary stuff in your life and then you mad because you got the stuff that you created. No. Listen. I'm just talking about me. The way I'm set up right now, baby, listen to me. I want y'all to hear me. The way I'm set up right now, I don't want all that. So, whatever I have to do in me to avoid all that, that's what I'm going to do. I don't want all that. This is a sensitive time. Y'all need to discern the times and the seasons. This is a sensitive time in the spirit. So the enemy is pulling out all stops. Because if he can get us distracted, if he can get us off course, if he can get us to stop doing what it is that God has called us to do, then he wins. This is the time to press in. This is the time to believe God. This is the time to walk in faith. This is the time to trust that God got you. This is the time. This is the time. Yeah, this is the time. This is that time. And there's something God is doing in the church. There is a deliverance that God is doing in the church. Now, listen. Oh, Jesus. There's a deliverance that God is doing in the church. Angel number 122. Listen. My daughter calling me, y'all. Hold on. There's a deliverance God is doing in the church. And I need y'all to pay close attention. Hey, baby, you okay? What? Oh. I'm going to call you right back, okay? All right, babe. There's a deliverance that God is doing in the church. And he needs, listen to me. I want y'all to hear me. He needs those prophets, those apostles, those pastors, those teachers, those evangelists who have left the church because of the stuff that was happening in the church to return to the church, but they're going to return to the church in a different way. Look, there's something that God is doing. Baby, he's trying to break religion off the church. He's trying to break. And if you live in a place where there's a strong spirit of religion, a strong religious spirit, that spirit takes hold, and that spirit will chew up and spit out people, right? It'll convince them that they're doing right, that they're handling people right when they're not. Listen, it will take them into a place of judgment and delusion. Listen to me. God is breaking the spirit of religion off the minds of the people in the church because he is doing a new thing. And he wants to use the church for the new thing, but the church is so steeped in religion that it will miss it. It looks funny to them. It don't look like God. And because it doesn't look like God, they reject what God is doing because it don't look like what they know God to be. Angel number 133. It doesn't look like they've seen God move in the past. Angel number 133. It doesn't look like it. And because it doesn't look like it, they're rejecting it. But I came to tell you today, listen, God needs the body on one accord because there is a move that is happening that requires his children to be on one accord. There's something he's trying to release into the earth. There's something he's trying to release into the earth. And I'm telling you, y'all, listen, it is one of those moves. It's one of those moves. Yes. An angel pattern, 111, 122, 133. That's an emphasizing, right? It's one of those moves, the likes of which we've not seen since the revival at Azusa. It's bigger than that. But it requires us to come together. So that means that we can't allow our judgments of one another to get in the way, because that's what the enemy is using, the judge, our judge, which is a saboteur that works against you, right? It keeps you from thriving. So the judge is telling the people not in the church, See, that's why you don't fool with them church people, because you see how they do. You see how they judge people. You see how they treat people. You see what they focus on. You see this, you see that. And then he's telling the church people, see, that's why they ain't really saved. Because if they was really saved, they wouldn't wear this, they wouldn't wear that, they wouldn't go here, they wouldn't go there. It is an attack of the enemy to divide God's people. So we are falling prey to the trap. But God is trying to close the gap because he wants to use the church in this move. But the church and the people in the church got to break out of the judgment of how God is going to move and who God is going to use. This is a season where he's using the people that don't look like. He's talking to them because they don't have all of the religious constraints on them. Angel number 133. He's dealing with them because they're open to hear his voice for the new. And many times people in the church who are steeped in religion and that religious spirit is locked on, all they know is what they've been taught. Listen to me. What they've been taught, and they don't understand that God is doing something new, and it is a shift. It's a shift. And it is a radical shift. He is shaking things up because people have gotten into patterns and habits, and things have become routine. And we're limiting the power of God to move. My sister Ebony told me to watch the movie. What's the name of the movie? Ebony, type in the name of the movie. The Girl Who Believed. Oh my goodness. That movie was so good. I think it's The Girl Who Believed. Oh, The Girl Who Believes in Miracles. The Girl Who Believes in Miracles. I watched it on Prime. It's on Prime. It's on PureFlix. The Girl Who Believes in Miracles. Yes. Yes, The Girl Who Believes in Miracles. Listen to me. I watched that movie. And the whole time, all she did was believe God. It was nothing magic. She just believed God. She had crazy belief. Listen, you got to watch it, April. Listen, the girl just believed God and she prayed and God moved. And it wasn't always the way that she thought that he was going to move, but he moved. It starts with something very simple, praying for her brother in a soccer game. It starts with something very simple, and then it goes on and goes on. And she ends up praying for people and they get healed. Y'all, but listen, this is what I'm telling you. When Jesus says, you must become like a little child. Children have faith on a level that many times as adults, because of the things that we've experienced, because of our saboteurs, we will not believe. Listen, I am ready to believe God for the stuff that looks crazy. I believe in miracles. I believe God can take the most jacked up situation and turn it around for our good. I believe that God is still in the healing business. I believe that God is in the business of working things out that look like they will never be worked out. Do you understand? I believe that this is a season of reconciliation where God is trying to reconcile people. And we got to get on the other side of our pride, on the other side of our arrogance, on the other side of our insecurities, on the other side of our thinking we know everything. We got to get on the other. We've got to open our mind up and use our innovate power. What is the innovate power, Dr. V? Well, when we talk about our saboteurs, there are 5 sage powers that we have. These sage means wisdom, right? Sage is not just something that you light and you fan in the air. Sage means wisdom. A sage was a wise one, right? So one of them is innovate. Innovate is finding a new solution to an old problem. A new solution to, a totally new solution. And you cannot come up with a new solution if you do not allow yourself to think outside of the box. I'm convinced, listen to me now, I want y'all to hear me. I'm convinced that there are some things that we got wrong because our conception of love is flawed. I believe there's some things that we've gotten wrong. Some things that we missed the mark on. Because in our conception of love, it is contain, control, own a person. Okay? And that's not what God does. God's conception of love is free flowing. The moment you begin to contain people, the moment you begin to cause them to die, you want to contain them, you want to lock them. It's a slow death. We have to have so much faith in our love that there's nothing on the outside that threatens us. That we believe that the person that we're with, like, we can trust them to not only handle themselves, but protect our heart. I'm convinced that this conception of love that we have, that we have been transmitting from generation to generation to generation, is one of the reasons that we discover in the church the divorce rate in the church is higher than the divorce rate in the world. Why? Because as much as the word of God is based on love, we don't know how to love. Our conception of love deals with control and manipulation, much like what has been happening in the church. Now, not everybody is doing it in the church, and not every church is doing it, but it is what has been going on in the church. If you love your pastor, you'll listen and do what he say. Manipulation. If you love the church, then you'll give the church everything you've got. Manipulation. If God didn't tell you to give everything, don't you give everything. Yes, I'm not saying don't tithe. Listen, I'm not Team Creflo Dollar when it comes to tithes and offering. Because tithes are not for the church. They are for the church. But tithing is what you do for God. Okay? That's about God. That ain't about the church. Although it keeps me in the church. It keeps the lights on. Right? But baby, let me tell y'all something. We better get our love together. We better get our love together. Because if we don't get our love together, we're going to miss a whole lot in this season. Right here. Because this season is going to require a level of love that we're not familiar with, that we're not comfortable with. It's going to require us to stretch in our love, not to constrict, but to expand. True love expands, it doesn't constrict. The moment you begin to constrict, that's that lower vibration, right? We talked about this the other day. You start constricting, that's fear. Hold on. I'm going to tell you what those things are. Now, when we understand that and we still choose to do that, that's on us. We got to deal with it. But I'm telling y'all, come up out of that lower level. Come up out of it. Come up out of it. The enemy wants you to stay there. The enemy wants you to stay vibrating low. The enemy wants you to stay focused on fear and anxiety and anxiousness and depression. It wants you to stay right there in that place right there. Why? That place is not a threat. That's not a threat. That's where the enemy resides. And your greatest enemy is your inner me. That's where the enemy resides, in that low level. See, when Lucifer was cast out of heaven, he was cast away from God, which meant that he was cast away from the things that God is. What is God? God is love and joy and peace. So he was cast away from all of that. When we operate in those lower level emotions, we are away from God. So when we talk about, sin, putting a wedge between you and God, it's not just sin as we think about it. It's the sin of living in a state that is not the state that God created us to live in. We want to get back to Eden. We're trying to get back to Eden. We're trying to get back to a physical location. And God is trying to get us back to a place in our spirit, in our minds, in our emotions. That's where Eden is. Eden is not so much about the geographical location, which is actually in Africa, right? It's not so much about getting back to that geographical location. It's about the fact that the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven is at hand, within reach. But it means you got to shift your mind and your mindset. You have to shift. You're the only one who can do it. No one can do it for you. You have to do that work, and the work is worth it. The work is worth it. Hold on, I'm going to get there. Listen. Identify the things that bring you joy and surround yourself with them. Identify the things that bring you joy and surround yourself with them. So you look at them and you see them regularly. You look at them and it doesn't matter if you're in a mood or something has happened. You see them and it immediately brings a smile to your face. Surround yourself with things that bring you joy. Angel number 133. Plan things that bring you joy in your day, in your week, in your month. Plan it. Don't wait for big occasions to find things that bring you joy. Don't do that. Make sure that every day you do something that brings you joy. And shut down the things that don't bring you joy. Shut down the things that bring negative emotions and feelings. I hear you, God. Remind yourself of who you are. So it's easy to get caught up in where you are, your circumstances, but remind yourself of who you are. You see, listen, when I look at her, she's so innocent. She hasn't yet been disappointed by life. She doesn't know, all the things that are going on around her. She just is. When I think of her, when I think of the baby that I was, when I think of the little girl that I was, listen, we've got to get back in touch with the parts of ourselves that were innocent before our saboteurs happened, before we got inundated with stuff of the world, before, right? Who God really created us to be. Listen, I know this about me. I can remember, okay? I can remember some things about me. And I just always was advanced. And I always wanted to prove people wrong. Like that's always been a part of me. It's always been a part of my personality. Like when I was younger, they said I was about 5 or 6 months, okay? They were teasing me. And they were saying, say granddaddy. And my granddaddy was outside and we were standing in the window. It was me and my aunts, my Aunt Sue and my Aunt Carol Lou. Because they were the ones that were always with me because they were like 11 and 12 when I was born. So they always had me. They were always playing with me, always played school with me. It's the reason I'm so brilliant now, because when I tell you that they taught me. Okay. They taught me in ways that they didn't even understand what they were unlocking, but they unlocked it. Okay. So they kept saying, say granddaddy. And so I looked at them and I looked at my granddaddy. My grandmama told them, all right, y'all gonna feel stupid when that baby say it. If that baby say it, y'all gonna feel real stupid. So what did I do? I wanted them to feel stupid. I wanted to prove I could do it. I looked outside at my granddaddy. I looked at them. I looked back outside. I said, granddaddy, That was my first word. Not mama, not dad. It was granddaddy. That was my first word. My first word was granddaddy. They should have known right then that they was in trouble, right? They just unlocked these vocal cords. And ever since then, I've been communicating, okay? But it's that very thing, right? It's that very thing. It brings me joy to communicate. It brings me joy to talk. It brings me joy to share. It brings me joy. I get joy about it. I get joy when I'm able to do that. I get joy when I'm able to communicate with people. Listen, there are things about me that bring me joy. Listen, have always been. Physical touch is one of my love languages, and I love loving on God's people. I love loving on God's people. I am a hugger. My hugs are healing. They are therapeutic. It is one of the ways that God releases stuff out of people. If you ever notice me when I minister, when I am at the altar, I will often end up hugging people. Why? It ain't I just want to hug them to make them feel better. Literally, I understand that there is power in my hugs. The average person, there's power in all of our hugs, because guess what it does? It releases oxytocin. Oxytocin makes you feel good. It is a feel-good hormone that is released from hugs. I can shift someone's mood with a hug. That's why I hug people. I'm a hugger because I understand the power that's in my hugs. Now, this is interesting about me. I remember being on a job, right? And I hug people on the job, right? But I remember being on a job, and there would be certain people I would never hug. And people are like, well, but you hug everybody, but you don't hug so-and-so. I said, pay attention. Pay attention. If I don't hug people, normally there's a reason I don't hug them. I may not even be consciously aware of it, but there's a reason. Pay attention. I remember angel number 144. I remember, listen, I'm just talking about how God works with me. Okay. So I remember when we had gone to Tampa and we'd gone through all this stuff, and the first lady had gotten upset and she wanted us to leave the house after they'd given us the key and said, y'all stay, y'all supposed to be here. But when she couldn't control me, that's always the problem. When I don't do what women want me to do, it's always a problem. I promise y'all, that's always the problem, because I won't do what they want me to do. I'm going to listen to God over anybody. Okay. So it doesn't matter. Our friendship don't matter. Our relationship don't matter. I'm going to listen to God over everybody. Everybody. I'm going to listen to God. So I wouldn't do what she wanted me to do. She wanted us to leave. I'm like, cool. All you got to do is say that. She scheduled a whole intervention and said, girl, you ain't got to do all that. All you had to do was say, listen, I think it's time for y'all to leave. And I would say, okay, cool. Okay, let me start working on that. Okay. And it would have happened. But anyway, she didn't want us to leave. And when we scheduled to leave, she didn't want us to leave. She said, I didn't tell y'all could leave then. What in the what are you talking about? You want us to leave, but you want to control when we leave. No, ma'am, you can't do that. You can't control nothing concerning me and mine, okay? So we left or whatever. She sent out this nasty email to all these people, pastors and school administrators and my kids' teachers and their counselors, talking about how I held her hostage and all this stuff. I said, this is what I said. This whole crazy. Why would you do that? So it was a whole thing. I held her hostage. I did this. Listen. And I remember God saying, and so we left the church, right? I remember God said, go back to the church. And I said, what? He said, go back to the church. Only for God. Went back to the church. We're in service. Her husband had called me up and said, I'm restoring you to the position that you're supposed to be in. Yada, yada, yada. She was livid. Come down. We get to a point in the service where they say, hug somebody, da, 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 da. God says, go hug her. For real, God. Go hug her. I go hug her. She says, "Get off of me," pulls my hair and proceeds to punch me in my breast, same breast over and over and over again. God said, "Don't let go until I tell you." What? Now, meanwhile, people are peeping this out. Now, not everybody sees it, but some people see it. They see what's going on. My kids, they're like, "She's hitting mama." When God says let go, I let go. Now, I know that I had to be in the spirit because let me tell y'all something. Let somebody pull my hair and punch me in my breast while I'm in the flesh. Okay? I'm going to punch them in the eye, in the throat. Okay? In the church. Drag them down the steps because we were upstairs. God didn't let me feel any of it. Didn't let me feel any of it. Service continues. We finish. They have to take her in the back because there's a manifestation. The spirits that were really the ones that had an issue with me. That's what it was about. Those spirits that were attached to her had an issue with me, right? With the God in me. And she had a whole manifestation back there. Her face distorted. Like you could literally, it looked like a demon face. Service ends. We leave. We go to the house. Get home. My breast hurt so bad. And I had a headache. My breast hurt and I had a headache. Charlie said, he directed you so they would see. Troy said, but that didn't restore the damage of the message sent to the teachers and folks. Sounds like that family has a lot of dysfunction in the household and the ministry. There was, but God did do work there. There had to be some separations. There had to be some things that were done, but he did. It meant that there had to be some severing. And there were some things that the family went through. But God uses moments to show his grace, right? In that moment, because people who know me know that I'm not going to start it, but I will finish it. I'm not going to start it. I ain't finna start no fight. I ain't finna start no war. I'm not finna start it, but I will finish it, right? And one thing that I, in the flesh, despise is somebody trying to embarrass me. Do not embarrass me. Don't have me looking stupid. God knows that about me, right? But that's pride. Pride says, don't have me looking stupid. I don't want to look stupid. See, that's the judge saying, oh, you know, people looking at you and they like, oh, she weak. Oh, she soft. Oh, she this. Oh, she that. In the flesh, I don't like that. I don't like that. But God said, it's not about that. God had to do something in me to let me know that he was directing me, period. Okay? And that, baby, that let me know. And it didn't just let me know. It allowed people to see my response versus her response. So the stories that she was telling people didn't match what people saw. It didn't match what people that were seeing in me, how I was responding, how I was dealing with stuff. So sometimes, listen, I want y'all to catch this. This is for somebody. I don't know who's going through this right now. But sometimes you got to be willing to look stupid in the moment for God to give you the victory. Sometimes you got to be willing to look stupid in the moment for God to give you the victory. A lot of things that we do so that because we feel like someone is judging us or someone is looking at us or someone is going to think this about us or someone thinks that about us, right? You're worried about the wrong thing. Worried about the wrong thing, right? That's that judge. That's that pride. That's that I don't want nobody to think da 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 da. Okay. You do that. What I'm going to do is what God tells me to do. And the reason I'm going to do that is God has never failed me. And it doesn't matter how bad the situation looks. It doesn't matter how embarrassing it seems. None of that matters. God always finds a way to use those moments, not just to teach me, but to teach others. Those are teachable moments that God relishes in. but we won't allow ourselves to be a teachable moment. Elijah Muhammad said, you don't have to condemn a dirty glass. Just put a clean one next to it. My God. My God. And that's it. There's a clear angel number 155 difference. Y'all see that whole progression? 111, 122, 133, 144, 155. Y'all listen. Go back and look those angel numbers up. God is doing something. I need you to understand that what God is doing this season is not to harm you, but to bless you. It's not to hurt you, but to propel you. It is designed to get you to a place where you get out of you and into him, where your trust and your confidence is not in man or humanity, but your trust and your confidence is in him. Watch what God does. I got to check on my baby. Something's going on. But listen, know this. Know that I love you all to life and life more abundant. If the Spirit of God speaks to you and tells you to sow a seed, be obedient to the Spirit of God. He will never lead you wrong. Cash App $ DRV Johnson 777. Cash App $ DRV Johnson 777. Know this. Know that what God is doing, this is about the Kairos. The Kairos. Troy said, oftentimes what we go through is for someone else, but it sucks going through it. Absolutely, James 1. It absolutely does, but baby, it is worth it. Because guess what? This present suffering is nothing compared to the glory that is yet to be revealed. Baby, honey, I'm waiting for the glory. So the present suffering is the present suffering. I'm going to rejoice in the suffering. I'm going to have joy at all times. I'm going to stay in a place of joy because I ain't got time for nothing else. I love you guys. Have an amazing day and be blessed.